Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown, Dunkirk, and Westfield, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Doc Hamels, and thanks for joining us here at Chautauqua Sunrise at the studios of Access Chautauqua here in Mayville. Glad you could join us. Good afternoon for those of you that are listening to us on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people. That's my radio voice. That could join us because I know that you catch us Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, and so glad you could listen in. Also, wherever you are, good, happy day wherever you are throughout the world, because we are streaming throughout the universe, I guess. Are we leaving the Earth yet? I suppose. It's possible. Okay, wherever you are in the universe, good morning and good afternoon and good evening. We decided Australia is evening, right? Yes, we decided on that one day. We were having a little debate. Anyways, we have a lot of fun here, and I'm glad you could join us this morning. We are live, and if you wish to call us and have a chat with my guest, myself, you have an announcement, a birthday, an anniversary, whatever, especially a community event, we're happy to share that. Just give us a call at 716-753-5225. See how that magically appears? And also you could email us during the week at chautauquasunrise@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to get your announcements on the air for you. Free of charge, it's what we do here, okay? So just a few thoughts here for the morning. It's hunting season, I noticed. When I got out the door, boom, boom, they were already chasing Bambi around the woods up in the hills of Ripley. And the reason why I mention this is, gosh, just be careful out there. Not so much for the hunters. Generally, hunters are like 99.99999% safe out there. But it's the deer or any other type of animal that may be crossing the road being chased by the hunters that you may not even realize could jump and hit you. I guess most of the hunters I've talked to, and it's been my experience, unfortunately, is that you don't hit a deer hits you, and so they run right into your vehicle. So just kind of have a certain awareness right now for the next, I don't know, couple weeks. Jeff, how many more weeks of hunting season since it started? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks? All right, so two and a half weeks of regular hunting season, and then, whatever, bow and arrow. All right, so, but anyways, this is hunting season, so just be aware of that. Today I was watching the news, and I didn't realize yesterday was a historical mark for our country. And I don't know how long it lasted, but about an hour? Was it about an hour? Okay. For about an hour, we had somebody as President of the United States that wasn't Joe Biden. It was Vice President Harris, and she was, there's a term for it, but pro tem or something like that, and she was the President of the United States while Joe Biden was having some maintenance done. We don't want to go into all that. Anyways, everybody's telling me this and this. He had a colonoscopy. All right, there we go. Anyways, so it was for his annual physical. But the point was that was the first time that a woman was technically President of the United States. Way cool. Anyways, that was the first. I didn't realize that. Hey, this afternoon, about 4:30, if you are anywhere near Westfield, New York, you have to stop, park anywhere you can, and get ready for a Thanksgiving type parade. It's called Let There Be Light, and it's being sponsored by the Westfield Barcelona Chamber of Commerce and all those storefronts and all the businesses there. This is sort of like old-timey type thing. And I guess we're now called Chautauqua Sunrise Productions. Is that what we're calling this?
I don't know.
Well, anyways, they asked me and the crew to be there, and I will be announcing the parade. And my sidekick, Rick Mascaro, take a moment, ask for divine intervention here. He's going to be my co-announcer, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And the crew here from Access Chautauqua are going to be filming it, and not live, but hopefully they'll be able to work it down to some type of a video that can be seen later on on YouTube and that. So anyways, today there'll be Let There Be Light in Westfield, and there's all kinds of things going on. I know the pandemic is still raging on in certain quarters, but it seems like some of us are able to get out a little bit more than we were last year at this time. And excuse me, I guess this is just another example of what this world is coming to, where we're breaking out a little bit, but we're still being cautious. If you are not vaccinated, I would not recommend going out into this parade area without a mask on, or at least stay socially distant. Right now, I'm hearing the numbers are still up in the county. I was hearing just across the line in Pennsylvania, the numbers are starting to soar again. So we're going indoors, we're in close proximity again. Please, 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 just think about vaccinations. Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to say on this. As far as the parade goes, I have a distinction. I don't know if anybody else has ever done this here in the county, but this will be the third different parade that I will have announced. We did the Mayville parade for years, and because of the pandemic, they shut it down the last couple of years. Then I did the Ripley parade for their 200th anniversary a while back in 2016, and then today I'll be doing the Westfield parade. So I guess I'm sort of getting my resume bigger and bigger. Parade announcer. You could be the parade photographer or videographer. What do you want to be called?
I want to be called in bed.
He doesn't. No, nothing from Justin there. Okay. All right.
I want to go to sleep.
Okay. Also, I want to wish everybody right now. This is Thanksgiving week coming up, and gosh, I just hope you're having an okay time. And there's this time of year where it just seems like if you're in a tough spot, it just seems to be exaggerated. And that it's not as bad as you think. Just go see people, be with family. Don't lock yourself out. Get out there and be with people as best you can. I know this pandemic has isolated us a lot, but get on the phone, do whatever you got to do. We got the technology. You can Zoom each other, you can FaceTime each other, you can do a lot of stuff. But Thanksgiving is a great time for family, and my crew from Florida is coming in, my crew from Pennsylvania is coming in. We're going to have a house full of people, and I'll be in the kitchen. If anybody's looking for me, I'll be holed up in there. Kids running around, dogs barking. kitchen's a good spot. Besides, that's a good place to eat. Anyways, but it's always a lot of fun around here. So I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. And also want to thank my crew that helps me every Saturday morning to develop this program. This is our middle of our 8th year, and without them, I just couldn't do what I do. And hopefully what we do together is important to you, and that we make a difference in your lives. So happy Thanksgiving, and also thanks to my underwriters. Those are the folks you see in the beginning of the show that support our show, and we're really grateful to them as well. Okay, so we have a few announcements I want to tell you about, and then we're going to get to my guest who's just anxiously waiting in the green room to come on. Okay, this is from Jamestown. Jamestown Christmas tree harvest and lighting announced. Well, I saw that they have a 40-foot tall blue spruce that's been erected at City Hall. There it is. There's City Hall. Oh, I don't see any tree though. Okay, well anyways, there's City Hall, and it's out front, and it was donated by Miss Lindsay DeLong and family. The tree was harvested from Prospect Street over in the city of Jamestown. The tree was, I'm doing past tense now because this is written present tense. The tree was removed by the crew from the City Parks and Recreation and Conservation Department, along with the assistance from Jamestown Board of Public Utilities crew, and a crane was used to load it and, of course, to erect it. The truck and trailer was driven and donated by Lakeshore Paving and transported to City Hall for display, of course, at Tracy Plaza. The crane raised the tree in public. I think it was yesterday. Am I right? Was it? Did they put the tree up yesterday? I think I saw that, or just recently. And it was secured in preparation for decorating, listen to this, over 3,000 energy-saving LED lights by park staff. Woo! The blue spruce tree towers nearly 40 feet on its base at Tracy Plaza. And, it was erected on Wednesday, the 17th. Okay, so that's already done. And there's going to be a ceremonial lighting of the Christmas tree on December 4th for their Christmas parade festivities. Okay, throughout this weekend, the following things are taking place. So there's going to be a medieval feast dinner at Pickut Resort, just in case you're interested. And that's going to be today and tomorrow. It started yesterday. Enjoy a plentiful feast as the Riverside Players take you on a journey back to the age of kings and queens, knights and damsels, and jesters and jousters. Sounds like Chautauqua Sunrise. Shows start at 2 p.m. and 7:30. For more information, give them a call at 355-4141 over at Beacon Peak. Sounds like a lot of fun. Again, this weekend, today and tomorrow, Christmas in the Village. I just told you about that we're going to have the parade, but let me tell you a little bit more. All right. They kicked everything off yesterday with Santa and the tree lighting in Moore Park. But today there will be a holiday artisans market starting in 45 minutes till 4 p.m. in Easton Hall. Last week we had the ladies here and they were telling you all about it. So if you want to refer back to that show, if not, here's some things that are happening. A hot toddy crawl. That kind of sounds cool. You go around to businesses and you get a little sip of whatever they're providing for a hot toddy, and you might get a little loopy. I don't know, but they're sure that you won't get drunk. The amounts are small enough, and that's going to take place from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the downtown businesses, and that's today and tomorrow. Free horse and carriage rides throughout the day till 4 p.m. In front of Easton Hall. Other activities include the Hall of Trees, tour, Westfield card. You get your card punched, and then I guess you deposit it somewhere, and then you might win a prize. Christmas-themed art gallery openings, Christmas movie marathon. There's carolers. Hope for the Holidays service, holiday specials at Westfield's Restaurant Row, food trucks on Main Street. That's a little bit new. Woodwind and brass ensemble performances, and a whole lot more. And of course, There will also be Let There Be Light parade of lights and floats moving through downtown today from 4:30 to 5:30. Me and the crew will be in front of the Methodist Church right across from McDonald's. Kind of a strange juxtapositioning there. Church and McDonald's. But anyways, we'll be at the Methodist Church. And please, if you're in the area, do drop by and say hi. We'll be the ones that are kind of purple and shivering. Programming continues tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there's detailed maps and a schedule are available in the Westfield shops and online and so forth. Okay. Now, I'm going to do my best to pronounce these words next. November 20th, that's tomorrow, the Bolshoi Ballet live. Spartacus at 1 p.m.
November 20th is today.
Today is Saturday the 20th. Today, thank you. Today was a rough start for my day. That's why I have Justin here. He gives me hot tea and tells me what day it is. Today, Bolshoi Ballet live. Spartacus at 1 p.m. at the Fredonia Opera House Performing Arts Center, 9 Church Street in Fredonia. And this is from Moscow. Via satellite comes this performance by the Bolshoi Ballet, one of the greatest ballet companies in the history of the world. Spartacus is a tour de force of a ballet set to oh my gosh, Khachaturian's superb score. I didn't make that up. It's a really long word with lots of vowels. For more information, give them a call at 679-1891. I'm going to spell that for you. Khachaturians. Khachaturians. Sounds like something you fix for after Thanksgiving. Okay, and then finally, we got a little more here. There's the next one. Okay, this is from Chautauqua Institution, right? This is the first round of summer programming announcements. Okay. Now, I know it's a little early, but spring is just around the corner. As you prepare for the family gatherings next week, they're pleased, and I'm pleased today to offer up a heaping serving of the institution's confirmations, and they're excited about the summer. So let me just give you some quick highlights here. Let's see, week 1 in June, 25 to July 2, what should be America's role in the world? Next week, the wild, the reconnecting with our natural world. Next week, the future of human rights. Then the future of history. I could be interested in that one a lot. The vote in democracy. After dark, the world of nighttime. That's the end of July and the beginning of August. Followed by more than shelter. Redefining the American home. After Thanksgiving, probably, yeah. Week 8, new profiles in courage, and then the last week, an American tapestry exploring culture, folk, and faith. All right, and so if you're interested, go to their website, ciweb.org, ciweb.org, and you can start getting your tickets and find out more information. And that's all I got for right now. So that's how it works here. You can send in your announcements. We share them with the world, and it's free of charge. We're going to take a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Oh, look, a redhead. Staring contest. You still got it.
I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I love that little video. When my grandkids come up from Florida, they obviously have a whole different view of the world from palm trees and sandy beaches and that. I get myself straighten out here. And whenever they're up, I always take them out in our woods, and I tag trees with marked like ribbons. I keep telling them, no matter what, as long as you have one of these orange tags on your right shoulder as you're walking through the woods, you won't get lost, because I have it so they could just go into a big loop, and they just go out there and they just have a ball, and in the snow, they dive. They dive into the snow. So I doubt we're going to have any snow. We'll probably have a lot of mud, but we'll see. But they'll out there and they'll have their tongues out and then catching snowflakes, and so it's going to be a fun week coming up. They're coming in on Monday. I can't wait. Okay, enough on that. March 30th, 2015, somebody wrote something about Chautauqua sunrise, and we have that posted out in the alleyway in the studio here. And I have this particular article in my office, and the person that wrote it is my guest today. You probably didn't even realize it was that long ago. It was almost going on 6 years anyways, and then some, 6.5 years ago. Walt Pickut is my guest today, and Walt, you wrote that really nice article in the Jamestown Gazette about us.
Well, excuse me. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I can't wait to find out what I said.
You know, I write for the Silver magazine, and I've been doing that for not as long as you, but 15 years, I think it is now, or 16 years. And people will come up to me, and they probably do the same with you, and they'll quote something I've written or something like that. I just look at them like, what are you talking about? Because we're always behind in the calendar. We write something today, but it doesn't show up for a week or two or a month in my case.
Right.
And so I have to be polite, smile, and think, oh, that's right. So, well, you've been here a couple times.
Yes, I have.
You were with the Stargazers, and you were with the Jamestown Gazette, and but today you're on your own.
I'm on my own. Well, okay. That's great.
That's but you have your lovely wife.
Yes, the Peanut Gallery is
Peanut
here.
Gallery. She's been laughing at all my jokes, so far so good.
Oh, she's
a
good.
keeper.
Yes, she is. And she just reminded me to sit up straight, too, so I'll do that.
I don't, but you can do it if you want to. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would. You were sharing some fun stories before the show, but where are you from, and how long you been around here, and what you been doing?
Wow, gee, okay.
We got 37 minutes. We're good.
Okay. Actually, I'm originally from New Jersey. I was allowed to move to New York without a passport, which is good. And let's see, I worked in Manhattan for a lot of years at NYU at the medical school.
What'd you do there?
I was the director of the cardiopulmonary services. I taught at the medical school.
Wait a minute. Are you a doctor?
No, a physiologist.
Physiologist. All right, tell us what a physiologist is and what do you do? I think I knew this. I forgot it. I do remember this, but I don't remember what a physiologist does.
It took a long time to figure out what that was myself. I was in graduate school before I understood what it was. Physiology is the study of the relationship between the form and the function. Mm-hmm. Why does the human body work the way it does?
All right.
And what's behind it, not just the biochemistry, but the structures and so forth.
Okay.
And it was interesting because when I went to graduate school to study that, it turned out that the program I was in was part of the dental school at Fairleigh Dickinson University. So I got to study with the dentists, who were the smartest students I ever worked with because they had a history of collecting final exams in about a 20-year history. Ooh. So, prepping for the exams was always fun. Mm. But it was an interesting career.
So as a physiologist, would it be safe to say you were more like a scientist?
Well, yeah, that was my original interest. Mm-hmm. I was also a registered respiratory therapist.
Oh, wow.
And managed the staff, respiratory care staff at NYU at the University Hospital. Mm-hmm. And lived in New Jersey. We raised our kids in New Jersey, mm-hmm. in a nice community called Upper Montclair, okay. which has just been renamed North Montclair because Upper sounded too snooty.
Oh, the times we live in.
Yes, it's the times we live in. But it was a nice community. But it turned out that life in the city wasn't just about the best life in the world, so we decided to move to a drafty little farmhouse out in a little town called Rossburg in Allegheny County, south of Letchworth Park.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Went back to school after deciding that career wasn't necessarily what I wanted to stay with.
How many years were you as a physiologist?
Well, that was up until the mid-'80s.
Okay.
And went back to school at Houghton College just to get a degree, undergraduate and graduate degrees, eventually in communication.
How many degrees do you have?
98.6. So,
good one.
I'm glad for that one. It hasn't been higher. I've got vaccinated, so I'm okay.
So you had physiology and respiratory therapies, and now you go into communications, get 2 degrees in that area.
Yeah, and I had spent a lot of time in radio.
Mm-hmm. Of course you did. That all goes together. Your career sounds like my career. What are we doing here? How did we get here?
Well, somebody said when I grow up, I'll find out what I should do, and I'm still waiting for that. Yeah, working on it. So I wound up building a radio station for the college and teaching broadcast journalism there for a few years. And however, found out that there's no money in radio.
There's no money.
unless you own it, and I didn't want to do that. So I went back to work and became the director of the cardiopulmonary services at Olean General. And so I'd had a couple of
So you had to fall back on the day job.
Yeah. But I stayed in radio long enough to meet my present wife, Nancy. My first wife passed away in '93. So, like I said, God knew I wasn't safe on the street by myself, so he brought me Nancy through one of the radio programs I was doing at WCIK in Bath. So, it's kind of a mixed up career, but I always wanted to be a writer. And a friend of mine, unbeknownst to me, sent a copy of one of my science fiction stories to Ray Bradbury.
Oh, wow.
And one day in the mail, I got a letter from Ray Bradbury saying, "Awesome story." So I had decided, I was by then working at WCA, the late lamented WCA, now UPMC Chautauqua. I became a sleep specialist. I hadn't looked at the neurology piece since grad school and thought I would do that. So
Justin is a sleep specialist.
Are you really?
He falls asleep almost every show. I'm dependent. He's my cameraman. I go, well, he says, wake up.
I got a CPAP machine for you, Justin, if you need it.
I like to pick on Justin. He picks back, though. I got to be careful.
Left WCA and sort of played around with the idea of retirement, and that just seemed like a terrible idea. Boring idea. So since I had this nice letter from Ray, I said, maybe I should be a writer.
All right, let's hold that for a second.
Yeah.
Did he do anything with your story?
Did
you go into Star Trek or anything like that?
No. No, I didn't. I'm still an avocational, is that the word? Hobby science fiction writer.
Avocation. Yeah.
But I started off by working for Lance Armstrong for his Livestrong website. Wrote about 350 healthcare pieces for him.
We're talking about the bike rider.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And something stuck to his bicycle wheel, hit the fan at a certain point. So unfortunately, but Livestrong is still a very good website, great medical.
Did you meet this guy in person?
No.
Okay.
I never did.
A lot of the guys here in the studio are bike riders.
Yeah, it's he popularized it, and that was a good thing, But I see you have a rotary pin.
I do.
There, and I'm a Rotarian myself.
Oh, in Jamestown?
In Jamestown, yeah.
Morning or afternoon?
Morning.
Oh,
no, I'm sorry, the noon one.
Yeah, they tried to get. I lived in Ripley. They wanted me to join the Morning Jamestown Rotary Club years ago. I said, let's think about this. I'm not a morning person, let alone being there at whatever, 7:30. Well, anyways, I ended up at Westfield and Hamels. How long have you been a Rotarian?
Oh, since, I don't know, mid-'80s, I think.
Oh, longer than me then. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a while. However, you used to have Sunrise in your name here, so I guess that would have been a little bit too early. But the Noon Group is a great group to be with. And I met Stacy Hannon there, the owner and publisher of the Jamestown Gazette, which, of course, the best read in town. I just wanted to bring that with me. And she was starting the Gazette and asked if I'd be interested in working with her on that as the editor to kick it off and get it off the ground. And that's been an incredible adventure. Stacy's one of those people who accomplishes things, whatever comes into her mind she wants to do, she's going to get it done. And a great person to work with. So we think we've got, a good read for folks every week, and it's been really exciting. Part of my job has been to find the best people around who are doing good things and write about them. Jamestown, like a lot of communities around here, are trying to develop their own renaissance, rebuilding, having lost so much industry locally. Right. So we write about good people doing good things, and my motto is the people behind the story are the real story. So if what we write about can inspire somebody, then that's our piece of the pie.
So the Gazette as I was mentioning earlier, I get it, but we don't get it in Ripley. So is this more of a regional magazine or newspaper, or what's your coverage?
We're in, I think, 20 or, I forget the exact number. Apologies, Stacy, if you're watching. 20 or 30 zip codes down in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Chautauqua, Cattaraugus counties. But more or less the southern part of Chautauqua County. Unfortunately, Chautauqua County seems to be divided between the north and the south.
See, I live in the West County. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That's the name of my column, you know, from out of the West.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Just
I don't recognize North and South.
lakeside people.
Yeah.
But it's yeah. So we're in that area. We're distributed in about 200, 250 different venues in the area.
So what's the difference between a standard newspaper and a gazette? I mean,
Well, a weekly we're a weekly, and
Okay.
you know, Jamestown, for instance, we have the Post Journal. It's a daily,
Right.
And a strong community has to have a daily paper. It's really, really critical. Doing what you do, local, you know, and that's part of the mandate for at the FCC, for instance. Radio and TV should have local roots,
right.
and there should be a local daily paper as well. But we're a weekly. And the difference between a weekly and the daily pretty much is the daily is supposed to tell you what happened yesterday. The weekly typically tells you what's coming next week.
Gotcha.
You know,
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
If we tried to write about the news, by the time it came out, some of the news would be 6 days old.
Right.
So that really is not a winning formula. So, we talk about what's happening in general, what's happening in town, what's coming up next. And our advertisers pay for the paper, so the paper is free, and the advertisers know that we're reaching out to a lot of people. I see you have a map over your shoulder there. You've got pins where people are listening to you all over the world.
All over the world.
I see in Asia, in Europe, and we have readers, because we're also online. We have readers in Israel and France and all across Europe.
That's it, Justin. We have to expand our coverage. We got to do something. We got to get to Israel. We don't have Israel.
It's a surprising number. And, of course, readers all across the country, because Jamestown, Chautauqua County expatriates, you know.
Sure. People want to know what's going on back home.
They really do, yeah.
You know, I see this even on Facebook, where a lot of communities have what's happening in Westfield, or Ripley alive and well, or I mean, those are just my local ones, but I see people have moved around. They just want to keep in touch, and you know, the Gazette probably does the same thing, or the Post Journal, whatever the medium. Us here, you know, we do the same thing. People want to know.
They really want to know, and I think it was back in the early 1950s, Marshall McLuhan called it the global village. Communication is creating the global village. It's coming true, you know, that people are not as separated as they used to be. You know, I was also here talking about the observatory, Mart's Observatory once, and
that was fascinating, those pictures you had that day.
And we developed a Zoom presence because of the pandemic. But because of that, we've been able to have speakers come from NASA, from all around the world, and we can present our programs all across the country.
Amazing, isn't it?
And we never would have done that. It's kind of what we call a tiny silver lining in the COVID cloud. It's created a whole new world. It's shrunk the village that the world is.
Well, we experienced the exact same thing here, as I was telling the story about how we stream live now because of Steve Gustafson. He was doing it while I was talking and never realized the power of that. And then we, because of the pandemic, we interviewed one gentleman from Canada, remember? And some other folks during snowstorms. So we've now taken technology because of COVID, like you, and used it in a more day-to-day life. So
it happens, and of course, mentioning your Rotary pin again, Rotary is certainly international, and I'm glad you mentioned that thing about vaccinations. You know, because of the Rotary and because of Mr. Gates and his foundation, a simple thing like a vaccination has reduced polio from about 50,000 cases a week.
That's right.
To what is it now, a half a dozen since the beginning of the year worldwide?
Total. Yeah, total.
And folks who are anti-vaxxers should realize that because of vaccinations, smallpox doesn't exist on the planet anymore. It's permanently gone from human history. Polio is also the same.
Right.
And any anti-vaxxer who happens to get bit by a rabid dog is going to get a vaccination unless they want to die.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty relative concept. I told a friend of mine recently who didn't want to get vaccinated, I said, park your car behind a malfunctioning truck at a red light and you're going to inhale more toxins than you're afraid of getting in your vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty harmless and saves lives.
Definitely.
Changes the human race for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So Rotary's been very, very powerful in doing
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Well, I'm very proud to be part of Rotary, and
Yeah.
good for you as well, and all of our clubs. I think there's 5 clubs now in Chautauqua County, so that's great. Okay, but we've talked around what we're going to talk about. So there I am reading in Post Journal, I don't know, a while back. I scheduled my guests so far in advance, I forget when I actually contacted you. But I saw that you had a book, and I thought, wow, that just sounds cool. So I don't know anything about the book. I have not read the book. So you're going to give us some teasers. So why don't you give us the background and how you got into writing a book?
Great, thank you. I love talking about it. Actually, it starts at Rotary as well.
Okay.
Because a lady that I met at Rotary, her name was Kay, she said in a conversation we were just having over lunch, they tried to kill me 7 times. And that's not exactly the kind of thing you hear over lunch very often.
They tried to, tried to kill her
me
7 times.
And I thought, well, that's an interesting opener for a conversation. Her husband had tried to write her story. He was a lit major in college. He's a pastor and used to speaking to people and crafting, stories and so forth. He handed me a rough draft of first chapter and asked if since I'm a writer, since I was a Gazette, maybe I'd, straighten it up, give it a little haircut or something. So I did. And he said, this is pretty close to what we'd like to do. Would you like to write this book for my wife?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had just a couple of years before finished Jim Roselli's memoir.
Oh, yeah.
Which worked out really great.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience of working with Jim is that I discovered I had a brother I never knew I had. When you work closely with somebody to write a book for them, it becomes intimate in a sense. It really does. You get to really know somebody. And I said, well, in the back of my mind, I thought, seems like a very nice people here. I guess I'd like to get to know them better. Maybe there's an interesting story here. Well, it turns out that it was Soviet spies who had tried to kill her. And
this is over lunch at Rotary.
Mm-hmm. Rotary is an interesting place to hang out.
You never know who's going to show up.
I can promise it. And her father was what you could call an honest con man. He started out as a milkman, but he was a genius. After high school, he delivered milk. Then he became a bakery salesman.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a genius, a totally unrecognized genius. And he had learned how to lie creatively to move ahead in life. And within 10 years of being a milkman and a bread loaf salesman, he was among one of the nation's top scientists involved in some of the most top secret work research of World War II.
All right, hang on now. So you got a milkman who's delivering milk. How do you go from milkman to being a scientist?
Well, back in the days, that would have been in the 30s.
Yeah.
Aviation was what computers were about 15 or 20 years ago. The hottest new thing on the block. Everybody wants to know about it. So back, I'd say, maybe in the 90s and so forth, people were taking courses. Computers and is this a big deal? Should we all know about these wonderful things? And people had courses like that about aviation. What are these magical machines?
So he went to like night school?
Yeah, no, from high school he took one sort of a night school course, just a popular course in what are these amazing machines in the air.
Right.
And he fell in love with the idea. And he studied and studied and studied and started working in the aviation industry.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
All right. So you got the bug.
Got the bug. And I don't want to give away too much.
No,
But he had a knack for being believable, but he also had a knack for studying. Probably had what we call a photographic memory.
That helps.
At one point, he started studying at the advanced level on his own, and within months became an instructor for trained aeronautical engineers.
Wow.
And then worked his way into the nation's top secret aviation research. So that automatically made him a target.
So this was the woman, her father.
Her father.
And she was killed. They tried to kill her 7 times, and her father was this genius.
Yeah, there are very, very good reasons why they were after her.
Okay.
Because if you know people who know a lot, you could be a backdoor as a spy to getting to people who have stuff you want.
They pressure you, leverage.
And spies are very interesting people. And you know, one of the interesting things about spycraft in the Second World War, because this was during the Second World War, is that there are 2 kinds of spies: legal spies and illegal spies. And when I first heard those terms, I said, that's the weirdest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
How could you be a legal spy? Well, you're a legal spy if you're working in the country where you want to be a spy, but you have legal work to do there. Suppose that, suppose you were really interested in the television industry in Russia right now, and somebody came along and said, how would you like to do a television show in Russia? As an American, you're presenting American concepts in Russia. People would love it. You know, you'd be top of the hit parade real quick.
I wonder what that is in Russian, Chautauqua Sunrise.
Yeah, right. So
like Cartouchian or something.
yeah, that guy. So you would go there and you'd have a legal job. You'd be a TV announcer,
legit.
TV personality. But suppose the CIA said, you know what, you're going to be there anyway. Keep your eyes and ears open.
Okay, I got you.
And when you get a chance, just report back on what you see. You would be a spy, but you would be legal.
Okay.
Now, the 007 kind of a spy, which also exists, is the kind we think of from Hollywood, where
Bond.
they sneak
James
in,
Bond.
you know, under the barbed wire, and nobody knows you're there, and you know, you might be totally unknown until something blows up or somebody gets assassinated, and then you go back to where you came from. You know,
Okay.
go back in your
Let's
hole.
hold that thought about an illegal spy. We have a phone call.
Oh, okay, great.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, Walt. Walt, this is a voice from the past. Linda Spalding.
Well, hi, Linda. How you doing? Good to hear from you.
It's good to see you on the show. It's wonderful. My first comment is, how do I get your book?
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you asked. I think we had the picture on screen a little while ago, the first Counter Spy. The release date was supposed to be April 1st. I was delighted to be coming out on April Fool's Day. However, it's been pushed back to May 1st because, unfortunately, there is actually a nationwide backlog of the kind of paper.
Of course there is. Of course there is. It's on a shipping container somewhere in the Pacific. I'm sure of it.
Exactly. So it got pushed back to May 1st.
Oh my gosh.
However, if you go to my website, Fresh Ink Writing, it's all one word, freshinkwriting.com. And on the website, go to the tab that says New Work, and you'll find that Lions Publishing has the website there where you can pre-order.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, I'm going to do that. I can't wait to get your book. I want to tell you that I'm a big fan of the Gazette. Thank you for everything you do regarding that. I love your articles.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Also, didn't you co-author a book about Jim Roselli?
Yes, I worked with Jim on that for a couple of years, and Jim originally said, well, he was too humble. People have been asking him for years, you ought to write a book, and he said, no, I'm a talker, I'm not a scribbler, so I can't do it. And a couple of, I like to call them community activists, Bill and Pat Locke.
Oh, yeah. I know Bill and Pat.
some of the
Oh
finest
yeah,
people.
I know Pat. Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great folks. They knew Jim very well,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked me if I'd be interested in talking to him about the book, but he didn't want to have it written, so I had this bright idea. It happens to me once a year, whether I need it or not. I said, Jim, how about if I promise not to write a book about you, and lots of people will read it? He said, what? You remember his gravel voice, what are you talking about? And I said, why don't we write a book about all the amazing people you've brought into our homes over the years, from Chautauqua Institution, from around town, and maybe we'll slip a little in between the paragraphs about you here and there. He said, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm all about. It's not about me, it's about these amazing people that I interview. So, bit by bit, the book truly is about what Jim added to the world that didn't exist before.
Yeah, it's a great book. I read it. In fact, I was giving it as gifts to people. Yeah.
Well, we still have a few. We outsold everybody else at Chautauqua that year. And because Jim was such a popular personality there.
Absolutely.
And
I was there for that event. It was a great event. I wanted to mention one more thing about Ray Bradbury. In Dandelion Wine, the lead character is Douglas Spaulding.
Oh, yeah, Dandelion Wine. It's a wonderful book.
Yes, it is. And I'm a fan of Ray Bradbury, and of course, Doug Spaulding is my husband's name. But the name Spaulding is, I believe, it's the maiden name of his maternal grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's that's a wonderful book, and it's good to have your name in that book because you're associated with one of the 20th century's finest writers. He, by the way, said he's not a science fiction writer. He called himself more of a fantasy writer or a romanticist.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And
I love his work. I just love them.
my favorite is the Martian Chronicles. I think.
I love that too. I love the Martian Chronicles.
Hey, listen, I'm going to go down the hall if you guys want to finish the show here.
Okay, I'm not going to hold you up. You have
No, I'm just kidding. I'm enjoying this.
It's great to see you on the show. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Wait a minute, Lynn. You haven't told me how you know these folks here.
Walt, I guess I first met you at Chautauqua Opportunities.
That's right. Yes, I did. Yes, you did. I was there for about a year. Actually, yes, I was in human resources there for about a year, and then moved on to other things, greener pastures.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a wonderful organization. They're doing a lot of good work in this county.
And I know your sister Misty too.
Oh yeah, yes. My big sister. She still calls me her baby brother.
and I know your lovely wife, your beautiful wife.
As a matter of fact, Nancy's
she's
right here.
She's here blushing, yeah.
She's here in the peanut gallery, so she's waving. We talk about a microwave. That's a microwave. She's microwave like that. Hi from Linda, Nancy.
Okay.
Well, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling, Linda. Okay, so I have a Jim Roselli story that I should share with you.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Okay. Now, the name of the show was This Is Your...
or
this... What was it called? I can't remember. I want to say This Is Your Life, but that doesn't sound right.
No, that's not it. I can't even remember.
Well, the Jim Roselli Show.
Yeah.
So somehow or another, he gets me on the show, and we're talking about, I think it was BOCES, and I was involved with BOCES, and Days of Your Life. Is it called? That's a soap opera.
No, he called his studio the Dewdrop Inn.
Okay.
And if you happen to come down the hallway and wave through the window, he said, "Come on in."
Dewdrop Inn. I played the Dewdrop Inn. That's a bar up in Angola. That's true. Times of Your Life.
Times of Your Life.
Thank you guys. Woo, we solved that mystery. Anyways, so we're talking, and he said, "Well, we're gonna, you know how we would call people and things like that." So we're gonna call somebody very special to you. And I go, and I'm on the show, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so he makes a phone call, and a voice comes on, and I recognize the voice immediately. It was my boss, Donna Hanlon.
Oh my gosh!
She's like the assistant superintendent of BOCES, and he's talking to her, and he's asking. I could tell the sound in her voice was she wasn't exactly glad that he called. I don't even know how I didn't know how this all worked out. So the next day she calls me and she says, do you know where I was? I go, no, what? I didn't know what I was set up. She said, I was in the shower. Honest, true story. I said, well, I said, that was Jim. I don't even know how he got her phone number. So that was my little time of your life.
Jim had a habit of talking to people in places that, just down home, like what you're doing right here. And I met farmers who played his program in the milking barn.
Why not?
Because he said the cows gave better milk when they heard Jim Roselli.
Pass your eyes. Okay. Woo-wee. Okay. So one of the things I'd like to add, we were talking about legal and illegal spies. So let's finish up with that, and then I'll come to my next question I have. So we were talking about illegal spies. You go into a country and you do nefarious things.
That's right, yeah. That's, the Soviet Union in the Second World War was a U.S. ally against Hitler.
I'm still trying to work that out today.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And there were Japanese spies in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There were German spies here, Italian spies here, because those were our enemies. But to have your ally, the Soviet Union, sending spies to the United States, FDR didn't want to believe it. And basically, historians will argue about this, they always will, but in some respects, he was almost a fellow traveler because with the communists. In the 30s and 40s, an awful lot of the American intellectuals considered communism the cutting edge, advanced evolution of humankind.
Right.
And so there were a lot of people in the United States who thought, we have to help Mr. Stalin bring the next iteration of humanity to this planet, the higher level of humanity, where everyone works together, everyone cares about everyone.
Right.
It sounded very good, and the propaganda was wonderful. And so to have a legal Soviet in the United States doing legal work, he was in the aircraft industry. To have him doing what he was doing, J. Edgar Hoover with the FBI, he was a suspicious character, and it's a good thing he was, because he said, no, these communists are not our friends. We're very strange bedfellows in this wartime thing. And he wanted to investigate, but Washington was opposed to it. So there was a lot of interesting dynamics going on there. And during that time, there were also lots of illegal communist spies in the United States trying to work their way, famously the atomic bomb spies. They did a lot of damage to the United States by stealing our atomic bomb secrets. And they were trying to infiltrate every single industry there was. But they also did some things above board. For instance, because the Soviets were our allies and we wanted to support them, the Soviets stole over 100,000 U.S. patents and never paid a penny in royalties or acknowledged what they stole. But it was above board. People in the U.S. could just write away to the patent office and get the patent. So there was a lot of that sort of thing going on. So there was this never land between legal spies, illegal spies, and the fact that the Communist Party of the United States was growing exponentially for a while, and every secret we had was practically open on the tabletop, and the Soviets could just pick it up and walk away with it. So it was a really difficult time, a strange time in this country. And after the war, naturally, the communist threat became a bigger thing, and the investigation of the subjects in this book led to further investigations later in the 40s and even into the 50s. The House Un-American Activities Committee investigated the goings-on in this book, how the spies had tried to infiltrate and what they got away with. So it also created almost open warfare within the U.S. government at the time. And not many people really talk about that. So what we're doing is we're exposing a few things actually that have never been known before. some inside secrets of J. Edgar Hoover's interesting method of doing business that have never been seen before. We even have in his own handwriting.
Mm-hmm. So how'd you get all this information?
Well, here, let me show you this. This is just one of the workbooks, but that's 400 pages of declassified FBI documents that have never seen the light of day until my co-author, because she was the main character's daughter, was able to get them released and declassified by the FBI.
Have we said her name yet?
Kay Haas.
Kay Haas.
She is the K.
How you spell her last name?
Kayhaas, which is an interesting name. Haas is the German word for rabbit.
Yeah.
So her nickname was Bunny.
Yeah.
So I got to work.
Hassenpfeffer.
Yeah. However, it's an interesting thing about names. When Soviet citizens came to the United States during World War II, they only had to fill in one little document declaring who they were and what their name was. And it's now known that a lot of them never existed. The name that they put down wasn't their name. They were here under aliases, even the legal spies.
Wow.
So Kay Haas is not her name either today.
Okay.
Okay, that she's a real person, but she spent most of her life in hiding.
Oh my.
And had to. So we're not disclosing her.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Well, I want to know the author's name, so the Chaos is what we're going to use.
That's what we're going to use.
So you got these declassified papers through her?
Yeah.
So
right.
she evidently has some way of doing this.
Oh yeah, she was able to get them released, and that's her father's deathbed wish was, Kay, tell the world my story.
Tell the story. And
He
so
had
this
lived
is
his
the story.
life under the radar.
Okay. Do we know his name?
Oh yeah, we do. His name was Haas.
Okay.
Larry Haas. That's the name in the book.
All right.
But she's been remarried a few times since then. There are other names, not lived the same place she used to live or anything like that.
Wow.
So if you can imagine what it might be like to be afraid to leave your house. You know, in Britain, for instance, recently there was a case of a couple of expatriate Soviets who were poisoned by the Russian secret police just a few years ago.
So, how do I put this? Is she still okay, here's the question. Is she still being actively pursued?
We don't know.
We don't. Oh.
That's the only answer.
You're always,
you give.
once you're on the list, you're always on the list.
Yeah, once you're on the.
Wow.
So it's an interesting thing to consider, trying to live your life that way.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been interesting to get to understand what that kind of a life would be like. One of the interesting factors here is that people can wind up living a life they didn't plan to.
Okay.
You know.
We're down to less than a minute, and it seems hard to believe. So let's tell folks again where and when they can get hold of the book. I mean, you've piqued everybody's interest in this room, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So why don't you just share that? How do they get a hold of this book?
Okay, the website is Fresh Ink Writing, one word, freshinkwriting.com, and click on the New Work tab. Okay. And you'll see that book listed and 3 different places where you can pre-order them.
Okay. And what's the cost? Because I always try to share
$29.95, I believe.
Okay.
And it's going to be about a 350-page book. There's over 450 footnotes referencing FBI documents and other things. So it's carefully referenced because we know it's an important historical document. It's just not a good story.
Well, I wish you great success with your book, and I can't wait to get a hold of it and have a look at it.
Well, that's always good. Pre-orders are good.
All right. So, folks, you've been listening to Walt Pickut, who has written The First Counter Spy, and you can get his book. It sounds like a great Christmas gift. How's that?
I hope, absolutely, yeah.
Or a birthday present, or whatever you like. So,
right.
Thanks for dropping by, and I do enjoy talking with you as always. You're third time you've been here.
Thank you.
So,
yeah,
anyways,
thank you.
Have a great Thanksgiving, and to all of you as well. And we're going to do it all again next week. So take care, and enjoy your families and have a great holiday. Take care now. Bye-bye.